Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. So for today we are going to present our project, database management system project, which is the Malaya Car Rental Database Management System or ICT 501 Database Management System. We are from Group 5, CS2413A.
First, company background. So the company name is the Malaya Car Rental Seri Iskandar. The addresses was number 43, Persiaran Iskandar Perdana 27, Section 5, 32610, Seri Iskandar Perak. And the company motto was Kereta Sewa Pandu Sendiri. And available times on Monday to Sunday from 8:30 a.m. until 1 a.m. So the company service provide is they offer affordable car rental service. Second is rental car at student price, special promotion for student, and pickup service is available. The company was organized by Sarul Alwi bin Sahar, and his assistant is Muhammad Daim Sirajuddin bin Nur Azharuddin and Siti Syukrina binti Ahmad.
Next is a problem statement. Our problem statement is the company problem statement is loss of important information related to rental data. Second is limited time to make reservation for rent a car followed by business hours. Third is the client may have to walk in instead to fill in online registration or reservation for a rent car. And last, the manual method is difficult to manage the payment by their customer. Next. So the objective is we want to identify the characteristic of car rent customer, which are students or non-students, payment, bill, and employee in order to manage the details. Next, we want to design the ERD for the Malaya car rental service in order to control redundant data and relationship information. And last, we want to develop a database system for a car rental system in order to minimize the amount of manual work involved in handling the car, payment, rent, customer, bill, and employee.
Okay, next for the business rules. Business rules is related with components of ERM and also ERD. So for the business rules, many cars rented by many customers and many customers can rent by many cars. Second, one customer many payments. Many payments can be made by one customer. Third, one employee receive a lot of payments. Many payments are received by one employee. Fourth, one employee manage many customers. Many customers are managed by one employee. Fifth, one payment listed in one bill. One bill has one payment. And lastly, one employee generates many bills. Many bills have been generated by one employee. So next slide. So for the components of ERM, as I said, is related with previous slide. So entity car relationship is run by connectivity is many to many, which is the entity is customer. Then employee relationship is managed. So connectivity is one to many, entity is customer. Next is employee relationship is receives. Connectivity is one to many, entity is payment. So next is customer relationship is made. Connectivity is one to many, entity is payment. For the payment, relationship is listed in. Connectivity is one to one, entity is bill. And the last one is employee. relationship is generates, connectivity is one to many, and entity is built. Okay, this is our entity relationship diagram. We can see that car and customer is many to many, so we have to build a bridge entity, which is we build rent. So car can be rent, which is we use one to many relationship, and customer can rent, we use one to many relationship. For the payment and customer, we use one to many relationship. For the bill and payment, we use one to one relationship. For the bill and employee, we use one to many relationship. And for the employee and customer, we use one to many relationship. And we have disjoint in the customer entity, which is student and non-student.
So this is the our user interface sign in administration. So we key in the password and then we click sign in. So this is the home page of our application, the Malaya Car Rental. There is a dashboard, car, employee, customer, rent, payment, and bill. So I'm going to show to you each table and the data in the table. So we go to car table. So this is the data in car table. We move to employee table. This is the data in employee table. And then we move to customer table. This is the data in customer table. So for customer, there we categorize into two type of customer, student and non-student. So for student table, this is the data in student table. And this is the data for non-student table. We move to rent table. This is the data in the rent table. And then we move to payment table. This is the data in payment table. And last but not least, we go to bill table. So this is the data in bill table. I'm going to show to you how to create a form for each in the table. So we click the create button, the form. Okay, so this is the bill form. So we just fill in the information based on the data. So this is for bill number. So we just fill in according to the uh, attribute. And then after you've finish up fill in the data, we click add the create button. So the data that you put, the new data will be appear in the bill table. To edit the exist data in the table, we click at this button and then you can edit the data for the exist data. After you edit, you click apply changes to save your edit. And you can also delete the data by click at the delete button. So the data will be disappear from the table. We move to how to create a dashboard. So we go to app builder and then we click at our the Malaya car rental application here below, and then we click at create page. So there is many options. So we choose dashboard. After we choose dashboard, we name the page. So we name it as dashboard. Okay, and then click next. And then we navigate the page to home. We click at the second bullet. So we choose home because we want to navigate the dashboard to home. and then we click next, and then you can choose whatever type, whatever layout that you want to choose for your dashboard, either primary and two secondary charts, grid of four charts, primary and three secondary charts, and grid of six charts.
Okay, next we will proceed into the section of analyzing data. So as you can see here, we have prepared some graph for you to see the data that we have collected clearly. So for your information, this data was collected from the Malaya car rental. So for the first graph, we have prepared the bar chart graph that show the number of customer handled for each employees. So the highest that we can see here is from employee ID 0753, which was visited by 12 customers, and then follow up by employee with the number ID 6739, which was visited by 5 customer, and lastly employee ID with ID 8748 was visited by 3 customers during 2019. Next. All right. So the next is about the pie chart that we have created. So this pie chart show to you the number of each cars being rent. So here, cars with plate number ALM 4635, ALY 3155, and also AGY 2145 were rented 4 times. So it means that these 3 cars was rented the most in the Malaya car rental. And then second point is cars with plate number ALE 6283 and also AHH 2248 were rented 3 times. So it means that these both cars was the second higher car that was rented at the Malaya car rental. And last but not least, the least rented car in the Malaya were ALG 3674, ALK 3112, AEQ 6831, and also AGM 7129. So this forecast was least rented at the Malaya car rental, which is by 2 times for each of this car. So here we will discuss about the number of student and non-student that have rented the car at the Malaya. So here we have prepared the bar chart graph, which was in order to differentiate between student and also non-student. So at the left, it is student, and at the right is about the non-student. So we will obviously see that the majority person that rent car at the Malaya was student, which were 12 customers, and non-student that have rent the car at the Malaya was 8 customers in total. All right. So next, we will see the number of customers based on gender. So from here, clearly that we can found that the number of students for both male and female are 10 customers in total.
Okay, next is the graph show about the number of customer based on customer address. Okay, based on the vertical bar graph, 2 customer live at 18 SDEC and 30 SDEC. Last but not least, the rest of the customer address, there is 1 customer for each. Next, show that pie chart about number of car based on type of car. Okay, based on the pie chart, 67% of car in the Malaya car rental are auto type cars, while another 33% of car belong to the Malaya cars rental or three car manual types car. Next, show the pie chart, the number of car rents by month. The largest numbers of car rent is in June, which is 6 car or 23% of rented car. The second largest number of car rent is in April, which is 4 car or 15% of the rented car. Last but not least, for the rest of the months, each had 2 car rented, represent 8% of the total number of car rented per month.
So we move to SQL command. So first, data definition language, the create table command. So first we create table car. Okay, as you can see, car number, varchar, not null enable, constraint car PK, primary key car number using index enable. And then we create table employee. So the entity, the attribute is employee ID, the primary key is employee ID, and then we create table customer. The attribute is customer ID, and the primary key is customer ID. And then we create table student. The entity is the attribute is customer ID. The primary key is customer ID. And then we create table non-student. The attribute is customer ID. The primary key is customer ID. And then we create table payment. The attribute is payment ID. The primary key is payment ID. And then we create table rent. The entity is car number. So the primary key have two, car number and customer ID, since table rent is bridge entity between car and customer. And then last but not least, we create table bill. The attribute is bill number. So the primary key is bill number. For data manipulation language, first we insert data into table car. So we insert until we'll get this type of data in the table. So this is the table of the data in table car. And then we insert the data into employee table. So the data, there is three employees data in employee table. And then we insert data into customer table according to the attribute. So there is 20 customers that ran at the Malaya car rental. So this is the data for the customers in customer table. And then we insert data into student. So there is 12 students who are student among the customers. So this is the data in student table. And then we insert data into non-student table. So there is 8 students from 20 customers. There is 8 customers from 20 customers that are non-student. And then we insert data into payment table. So there is 26 payment transaction. And then we insert data into bill table. There is also 26 bill for 26 payment. And last but not least, we insert data into rent table. So there is 26 rent that happen at the Malaya car rental.
So SQL queries. First is display the customer ID, customer name, and employee ID, where customer is managed by employee 0753 order by assigning customer ID. So we select customer ID, customer first name, and employee ID from customer. where employee ID is equal to 0753 and order by customer ID ascending. So here the result. So second is display customer ID, customer type, and car number, which the customer type is a student, and students rent the MyV car. Use join queries to produce the result. So we use a join query. So select customer ID with C customer type, and R car number. From customer C, join rent R. Okay, on customer C dot customer ID is equal to R dot customer ID, and then join car A on A dot car number equal to R dot car number, where C dot customer type in S, which is student, and A dot car brand equal to MyV. So we get 4 results from the queries.
Okay, for the next question, we want to write a query that shows customer ID, customer name, and also customer address, and label the column as a customer information. We want to gather the information. So we use select customer first name, and you use that bar to separate the between customer first name, customer last name, phone number, and also customer address. So we put the quotation as customer information, as we want to label as customer information from customer table, where customer type equal to N, which is non-student. So here the result that we get. So okay, for the next question, which is question 4, we write a query that displays bill number, generate date, and employee ID that is made by an employee where the employee ID is greater than bill number B08. So we use a subquery. So select bill number, generate date in employee ID table. No, sorry. Select bill number, generate date, and also employee ID in bill table where employee ID is greater than. So we put the two. So we select employee ID from bill table where bill number is 0 equal to 0 B08. So that's the result that we get.
Okay, we move to next query. So write a query to display customer ID, customer first and last name as name, car number, and the amount of customer who rent the car more than 1 day as the total price. Order by the amount is ascending. So we type the query, select our customer ID, subtract C customer first name 18, and then we put the bar C we and then C customer last name S customer name, and then our car number, and then our return date minus our rent date, multiply with 24, and then multiply the value of return date minus rent date multiply 24 with our price per hour as total price. From table rent R, join customer C on our customer ID is equal to C customer name, where our return date minus our rent date multiply with 24 multiply with our price hour is not equal to 0, and order by 4 ascending. So this is the result. So we get, so this is the result that we get from the query. And then number 6, write a query that displays the combination of first name and last name with the first letter in uppercase and all the other letter in lowercase as customer name, customer ID, and customer address as customer address. So we select init cap, subtract C customer first name 18, and then we put the bar there, and with customer last name as customer name, and then R customer ID, C customer address as customer address. From table rent R, join customer C. On R customer ID is equal to C customer ID, ordered by R customer ID. So this is the result that we get from the query. So the first letter of customer first name and last name is in capital, and the other letter is in lowercase.
Alright, so next we will see the command in order to display study place and then the total number of customers from student who have competent driving license and label as licensee and group by study place. So the command as shown below, select study place, count customer ID as license C, which means license competent, and then select from student where license type like C and also license type like C small c, and then group by study place. So here we get the result as shown below. So we notice that the majority of people that have licensee is coming from KPM, and then followed by student from UTP with 2 students who have license competent, and lastly UiTM students with 1 person that have license competent. Next. And then we will see in order to display the minimum and also maximum price per hour of rental car at the Malaya Car Rental Service Kanda. So we will label the maximum and also minimum price with minimum price and maximum price. So the command is shown here. So select min price hour as minimum price. So this command means that we will select the minimum price and label as minimum price, and then max price hour and label as maximum price from rent. So we will select from table rent. So the result as shown here, the minimum price that we have at the Malaya was 7 ringgit, and maximum price is 10 ringgit per hour.
Next query is list the car plate number, car brands, and car types and type of car for cars that do not contain all car stats using set operators. So the queries is select car no, car brands, car type from car minus select car no, car brands, car type from car where car stat equal to all. So next is the outputs, and it will show the car number, car brands, car types, but the output does not contain car stat equal to all. Next slide. Okay, last queries but not least. Write a query that produce a list of payments for employee ID 6739, 0753 and 8748. Display payment ID and employee ID, sort by payments ID in descending order. Okay, select payment ID, employee ID from payment where employee ID equal to 6739. Union, select payment ID, employee ID from payment where employee ID equal to 0753. Union, select payment ID, employee ID from payments where employee ID equal to 8748. Order by 1 descending. And next, so this is the output that show the list of payment ID and employee ID.
And that's all from me, from us. Thank you.